just get through this thing real quick. Okay, let's talk about this subject here. Why Egypt cannot be black. And I'm going to tell you why at the end, but let's just get through some topics really quick here. A lot of the evidence. I don't really go too deep in this because there's a ton of other channels out there that really get deep into this with everything you need to know to debate out there. But I don't really debate this topic because it's blatant, and well, we'll get to that at the end. Let's talk about this. Why Egypt can't be black. Well, first off, there's several images of pure Negroes, Africans, black people, Afros, the works. Blatantly a black person. And these aren't people in the peasant class either. These are high up people, priests, royalty, several. So even if you wanted to say that you didn't believe it was completely black, there's evidence of black kingdoms. Unequivocal evidence, blatant evidence, and not just the 25th dynasty. A lot of people say, hey, it was just the 25th dynasty that was the Negro invasion from the south. But then you look at images from the 18th dynasty, which is considered to quite possibly be the greatest Egyptian dynasty, which King Tut hails from. And you see these people, you see King Tut's grandparents, and they're blatantly black. They have afros, and you're just like, what is this? Why don't you just say it? Do you think we're that stupid? I mean, no white American says that they were always in the U.S. They don't even try to do that lie, like a bunch of Negroes try to say, like they were always here. They at least admit that they came here and slaughtered everybody and took the land, regardless. But you don't see that in Egypt. It's a blatant lie from Egyptologists. And that's where I draw the line at. Hey, you want to argue which dynasty? Because not every dynasty was black. Some of them were Asiatics. There were Asiatics in from the beginning, but as the great Paul Mooney said, once you mix something with black, it's black. So, yeah. But even if you don't look at the evidence of today, and people try to bring up DNA evidence, but there's a lot of issues with the DNA evidence that it's coming out on all sides incorrect. So you're going to have to throw that evidence out. You're going to have to look at the images, which blatantly show Negroes, but also the historical reference that the scholars don't bring up. Herodotus, Book 2, a lot of people, they try to say Herodotus is a father of lies and put him down. And besides some of the errors he may have said or mistranslations that may have come up, Herodotus has great methods of attaining information and relaying information to the reader. I would suggest Herodotus Book 2. But the problem is with Herodotus, he says that the Egyptians are black for the most part, meaning there was admixture, but he says they're black. So they would have to throw Herodotus out, or they would have to admit that this land, Egypt, which is one of, if not the greatest first civilization, was Negro. That's a problem. They can't do that. They can't do that. So they just throw Herodotus completely out. We say, okay, well, there's other people. What about Aristotle? Aristotle writes that those who are too black or dark are cowards, like the Egyptians and the Ethiopians. Now, as foul as that is for that man to say, he's blatantly saying right there that they're black people, and he relays that the Egyptians and the Ethiopians are the same, or somewhat the same. So you have Aristotle right there, and when you pull out Aristotle on them, they say, "Oh, wow, I can't believe you knew that." Yeah. So where's the lie? Tell another lie, and that's it. You're just going to get another lie after a lie. That's why the debates are useless. Beyond the historical references of the Greeks, you even have the biblical evidence, which I don't really get into biblical evidence too much, but it's just more on the pile. In the Song of Solomon, the princess or the queen of Solomon says, "I am black and beautiful," or black but beautiful, depending on which reading. And she is the daughter of Pharaoh. So you have an Egyptian coming there, marrying Solomon, and claiming that she is black, which also denotes that the Hebrews aren't black then. That's another story though. But she denotes here that I am black. So there's the biblical evidence as well. That's completely thrown out as well by all sides. Still no. We have many scholars that have come up in front of the world and debated and won. Sheikh Anta Diop being one. He actually developed a melanin test where you could he could see how much melanin was in a skeleton's body, and he could tell what race they were. And still no, Egypt cannot be black. They cannot say that, either side, any side. They can't say that. So we even have white people, white historians, coming out and becoming very famous stating it, such as Martin Burnell, stating that Egypt was black. He doesn't say all, he doesn't go that first, but he does say the first dynasty and the 18th dynasty. Well, you can imagine everything in between there, but still no. By the dominant Egyptian society and Egyptologist society, they blatantly say no. And white society, European Western society, also says blatantly no. And then you say why? There's all this evidence, and there's even some other PhDs coming out there and stating the fact no. And why is that? Okay, I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because number one, you don't own Egypt anymore. The blacks got put out or bred out. So there's that. It's mine and it's not yours anymore. What you going to do about it? So I'll say whatever I want to say. And two, to a larger extent, why the white Egyptologists tell a blatant lie is because you're black and you have to remain on the bottom. You have to be the bottom social caste of the world. Why that is, that's a long debate, story, theories. It doesn't matter. That's what it is. You're black and you're at the bottom, and you can't have that. But let's just say for a minute, hold on. Let's just say for a minute, they said, okay, we, the Council of Egyptologists in Egypt, whatever, we say that the ancient Egyptians were predominantly Negro, black. Okay. British, the Western Europeans, they come out and say, okay, the dominant culture of Egypt is African and Negro. It doesn't matter if they do say it, because you don't have the power to do what the Egyptians did. And most black people ain't even trying to get the power to do that. So one, it's ours. And two, you ain't even trying to fight to even get it back or claim it back or look into your ancient history and see, what it is, just for the history's sake, just to look at it. It's completely washed away from you, and you don't even want it. You don't even want to research. I'm not saying Egypt is the only great African civilization, and I'm not saying we should be all walking around looking like we're in ancient Egypt. I'm not saying any of that, but it's yours, and you should look into it, and don't worry about what anyone else has to say. Read, and I'm out. 1.